What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Tune Into Dillon. It's just me this week, but we have a very special guest. Before we get into that, I saw a bunch of comments. I've been seeing stuff. Hey, is AJ still the mayor of Door County? Just want to say, Foundation, we got the Lost Local hats out there. Wisconsin, the key. We're back home now. The key is still intact there. And I did take a little trip down to Madison, and I am beyond honored and humbled to have received a Hometown Hero Award for all the stuff the Dillon Family Foundation has been doing. So I got this really cool thing there. And this nice little plaque. So we're very much still back and always trying to make the community a better place here in Wisconsin. For all those who are wondering, that was the top comment I've been seeing from our Tune In Dillon followers. So we're back. We're better than ever and excited to be in Door County for the 4th of July. And coming up, awesome guests. We got a guy who is an entrepreneur who has been successful in many avenues. It's a privilege to have him on the podcast today. We have Manny Lubin, the Slate co-founder. If you guys remember our Derek Pratt episode, he was talking about how much he loves Slate. It's like chocolate milk, protein shake, combined into one, healthier than most of the alternatives. So we'll let Manny go ahead and take it on over. I appreciate you being here, Manny.
Here we go, man. Yeah, this is our jam.
Appreciate your time, and I know everybody's excited to hear your story, hear about Slate, and just kind of what you got going. I know you're a big entrepreneur, so I don't know if you can sit still. I don't know what's next for Slate and the bigger picture.
Yeah, no, appreciate you having me. And I do have problems sitting still, but I always like having conversations with other people that build cool shit or have cool careers and just dive right into it like you. So appreciate being here. But yeah, I mean, I was in my mid-20s just drinking a lot of chocolate milk, and it's high in sugar and it doesn't have too much protein, right? And back before that, my high school football days, glory days, I played linebacker and played a little halfback. Oh, varsity, yeah.
Varsity.
Played linebacker, a little halfback too, but was always drinking lactose-free chocolate milk after practices. Yeah. And then in mid-20s, me and my business partner, Josh, we're both in the startup tech space, realized we were drinking a lot of kids' chocolate milks and said, look, if we can make this healthier and just better, we would drink it ourselves and started Googling things. And here we are. It evolved into a better protein drink brand it's been about 8 years since the idea.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that it was just a genuine thing. It's like, I like this. How can I make it into something profitable? I was scrolling through TikTok, and I ended up on like the motivational slides, and it's like, if it makes you happy, go do it. It's like low key, like you like this. Like, how can we make it better? How can it be something that, you really want to use? And athletes, I know you have a lot of athletes working with you and fitness influencers, and it's really cool to see, and I see it's everywhere now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think one of the things that excites me and Josh, my business partner, about startups and new businesses and just people starting cool shit is genuinely making things better. I think there are opportunities out there to take something that exists that might be a good concept and repackage it with a different brand, and there's tons of opportunity there. And a lot of people have a lot of success doing that. But I think if you can take something that exists and make the product actually better, where people can either consume it or use it or what have you on certain apps, and it makes their lives better, then I think that's what really excites us. And that's what progresses the world, right? And for us, we're fortunate where we kind of fell in this nutrition space. But even, man, I don't know where I'd be without Uber and Lyft. Right. And if I still hail cabs, like I think about that all the time. I'm like, damn, if TK didn't dive in and create Uber, like where would we be?
I think hindsight's 2020. I think about that. Obviously you're from the Boston area. I remember when I was at Boston College, we could take the train or whatever, taking an Uber, for instance, and they had the ATMs in Boston where you could just like use Bitcoin to pay for something at the gas station. People were just, I got 3-4 Bitcoin, I'll buy a pack of chips. If I knew to just hold all that.
No, it's even in like my college days that I think I'm probably a few years older than you. Uber was just starting, and we would literally, I remember hailing cabs, right? And taking trains, and man, it's just the progression in the last even 10 years of transportation has come a long way.
Yeah. Where are you located now? Like, I know you're a Boston-based company, Slate is. Do you stay in Boston or do you have like a office in New York?
Yeah, so I'm currently in New York City. We're all remote as a company.
Got it.
It's probably about 60 of us now,
That's pretty
all
cool.
remote. Yeah, but the biggest hub is Boston. Like on our cans, it says Boston, Mass. Like
Yeah,
we're a Boston-based brand. I think it's kind of
I love
embedded in
it.
our DNA.
I love
Yeah,
it. I bring that up just because my wife and I, we went down to New York 2 weekends ago. And I was thinking, like, I haven't seen this many cabs in forever. I was happy that there's still yellow cab. I'm not going to take one. I'm going to take my Uber. It's a lot.
exactly.
But it's nice
Right.
for the nostalgia of it. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say it's funny, and obviously going down the transportation path, but I think it comes when transportation, you just think about it simply, it comes down to price and convenience, right? And comfort and safety, and there are all those other things that I think a lot of people have done a good job of like most of the industries, whether it's Yellow Cab or Lyft or Uber or anything in
Yeah.
between, they usually do a good thing, but a good job with those things. But I think it's the same thing when it comes to any industry. Right? It
Yeah.
comes down to quality of product, it comes down to convenience, it comes down to price. And so I think that looking at the evolution of, like, for us, the protein drink space, which we kind of stumbled into, right? Started
Yeah.
with healthy chocolate milk. Now we're in this high protein space. We got the protein coffees that have 20
Yeah.
grams of protein and 2 cups of coffee in every can. We got shakes that have 20 protein, 32 protein,
Yeah.
42 protein. And it's how can our products be more convenient? How can they be better in quality in terms of ingredients and taste? And how do we price them effectively? So I think advancing each individual vertical in business,
sure.
there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I will say, and it's funny, not funny, but it's very cool that obviously it's protein based and a lot of things like that. So you're more focused on like athletes and athletics and people into fitness. And in talking to Derek, I'm thinking it's like it kind of goes hand in hand. The athlete, like, you got to go ahead and work out and you got to keep getting better. You got Slate Milk who's doing the same, trying to make you as fit as possible. It goes hand in hand. I do have a funny question there.
Yeah, fire away.
What do you think would be harder to build, a brand or a body?
I mean, well, I guess let me ask you a rebuttal. What kind of brand and what kind of body?
That's fair. All right, I'm thinking just super fit body, whatever the stereotypical fitness body is right now, and a nutrition brand, a protein brand, Slate.
I mean, this might be a controversial take. I think brand. I
Yeah.
think 100%, because when it comes to brand, there's so many other things that are outside of what you can control. I think when it comes to body, look, there are genetics. Everyone has different metabolisms. There are obviously uncontrollables.
Yeah.
But I think that there are more things within your control. And I think that, you're talking about the motivational videos, a lot of what, you scroll through those and you hear about discipline, right? It's less motivation, it's more discipline. And then it's just education on how you should be feeling your body, how you should be exercising. And I think that an achievable, again, depends on where you start, but an achievable body, like a very well-built body, I think is achievable within most people's control. Right.
Stamp that. That is fair. I like that.
Yeah. But again, it also comes down to where you live, what you have access to, right?
For sure.
Like, when not like if you,
Yeah,
if you have a private chef and you have,
I'm with you.
Yeah,
We're
like, if you're The Rock, like, I don't
Yeah.
want to take anything away from The Rock. Obviously, he's got a gym at home. He's got people
some
cooking
people
him
got
meals. Like,
genetics. Yeah.
right.
I get it.
But
No.
when it comes to a brand, and look, Slate, no matter how large Slate gets, I think the mentality will always be, we always feel like we got a long way to go. I think that's kind of the way that we're wired. We can always be better, but I think that there have been a lot of things that have been outside of our control that we've had to circumvent that have slowed our growth or caused issues. And you just got to power through the best you can and control the controllables. But I think a lot of times, whether it's competition, whether it's supply chain things going wrong, whether it's tariffs, whether it's macro trends or murmurs of a recession, there are a lot of things that you won't be able to control that will impact your business or brand regardless of what category you're in.
I mean, I like that quote or the mindset that you guys have as a company.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, obviously been in the football field ever, is Nick Saban. Obviously, I went to Boston College, so I didn't play with him, but I remember hearing him say, and our coach played this over and over. He said, mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people. And it's just like, yeah, you can do good. Your point of like, how can we get better ingredients? How can we do this? It's like, you can be all right and coast and do well, but if you really want to reach for the top, you got it. There's always a little bit more. And so that just popped right into my head as soon as you said it.
Yeah. And again, we're not on the gridiron, right? Like
Yeah.
it takes a certain kind of mindset to do what you guys do. Like
Hey,
we got Max Crosby as a partner of the brand. We
I
got Mike
saw that.
Giuseppe as a partner of the brand. Like we got a bunch of guys that, even like the way that you run, like wired different, right? Like
Yeah.
just built different. But I think that you always have to strive to be better. And like we early on were told and kind of embedded this in our DNA that we need to relentlessly pursue the flavor that we want, even if it's
Hmm.
difficult to get there. And I think a lot of these smaller brands, you get a solid product and you
Hmm.
grow it fast or slow, and you grow it fast, you get good feedback and you kind of coast on that and focus on other things. You got to always, it's like crafting your game, right? For
Yeah.
us, it's our brand and our products. You got to always be crafting those, trying to make them better.
I was so in talking about trying to balance taste and nutrition and everything, like you're saying. I did do a little bit of research. I did see the Shark Tank going back in the day. And so
Yep.
you talk about continuously improving your brand and everything in that. Kind of walk us through, or walk the listeners through, not
Yeah.
assuming they haven't seen Shark Tank. It seemed tough. The pitch, probably didn't end the way you wanted it to. Obviously, you guys stayed focused, kept growing, and focused in on, like you said, the flavor, achieving what you wanted. What did that process look like? Was there a moment where you were like, let's scrap this idea? Or was it just motivation to get back and prove them wrong, continue to grow? Kind of what's your take on that? And
Yeah. For those that haven't seen, it was maybe 5 years ago, almost to the day, we aired on ABC's Shark Tank and got shredded like Parmesan cheese. There's no other way to put it. It was before we had launched the brand. The timing of, like, obviously, as people know, you shoot the episode and then it airs at a later date. So this was before we even launched the company in terms of when it was shot. The way that we felt was like Josh and I have used the analogy of we got blown out in the Super Bowl, right? Like
yeah,
we were on the biggest
yeah,
stage and it didn't go as planned. But I'd say big hit to the ego. Obviously, did not go as planned. Went out there and did what we could in the moment. After, there was never a moment of let's scrap it. I think it was we need to make this thing a lot better.
yeah,
And we also, in terms of where the company was, we kind of knew going in. We didn't feel like we were going in with the analogy of like a high ankle sprain, right? Like we knew we
yeah.
had some
Stuff to
issues with
figure out. Yeah,
things to figure out. But man, when the opportunity presents itself, sometimes you got to go and just give it your best. And
absolutely.
yeah, for us, I think the story of we started on Kickstarter, the crowdfunding platform.
Hmm.
Then we went to Shark Tank. Then we launched, and now we're nationwide, 15 to 20,000 stores, sell
Yeah,
nationwide online, UFC sponsor, a bunch of great partners.
for
And
sure.
I think it's just a part of the story. But we never, in our entire journey since we went full time in June of 2018, I don't think there's ever been a moment where Josh and I were like, this isn't it. Because we've always seen the vision. We've always seen this gap of you have your artificial protein drinks that are very
Yeah,
masculine intense. You have your kids' chocolate milks. We just have always seen this gap in the market
yeah,
that we want to attack. And we've always thought if we're not going to do it someone else well, and if it's not working the way we're doing it, we need to change it. We need to evolve it.
yeah.
So yeah.
No, I mean that's awesome, and I really do. Obviously, I knew your story, and I can scroll through your LinkedIn, and I know we have a mutual tie to Boston and everything. But it's really cool to hear you talk about it. Obviously, you work with athletes, and we've been talking about that. But you're like, it's not the gridiron, but the mindset that you have, and you and Josh have, and you can hear it passionately through what you're saying. Like a lot of people would turn away. They'd be like, all right, this idea is not it. I'm an entrepreneur. I can come up with more ideas. Let me just kind of keep spitballing and find something else and maybe go back to Shark Tank and maybe they'll like that one. Whereas you are, we know this is a good idea. We'll figure it out. Where in all honesty, like for me, if you'd have told me, hey, chocolate milk protein, some people might just be like, yeah, for sure. You go find that sweet spot. But I mean, you did it and you stayed focused on it. So credit to you guys for sure on that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah. I think it's similar to like when you have a team that has, maybe you don't make the playoffs, you have a losing season, but
Yeah.
you have the pieces, it just didn't work. Right.
Yeah.
It's like we just need to tweak a few things, but it's not like let's pull the band apart and start from scratch. I think that's always when things aren't going as planned. It's always been the mentality because we know the core, the pieces are there.
And so obviously you got the investments and the seed funding I saw a little bit after that, and then continued to grow. Where throughout that process do you think, as far as just brand marketing, really getting the Slate name out there and product, where do you think you guys excelled at, or what was kind of the hardest to like you said, build that brand or grow as far as just awareness in this world? It's social media, TikTok, or is it having influencers, or is it just people seeing it just in front of your face? What is for you?
Yeah, I don't think there's a how to market for dummies, right? I think that if there was one strategy that worked for everyone, we'd all be using it. I think it is a little bit brand dependent. If like Slate, any other brand that I ever talk to, or like when Josh and I think about marketing, I think you always start on digital.
Yeah.
It's the lowest barrier of entry, whether that's like Meta ads, TikTok ads, or influencers. It's the lowest barrier to entry. You can get eyes on brand and on product. You can even drive sales if you can sell online through TikTok and Meta. So I think that that's where I would advise every brand to start, even just to get feedback, right? Because you can even drive a few sales. And in the early days, we're in the startup community, talk to a lot of other founders. And I think that it's when you start a company, you think you're solving a certain problem. But what you quickly realize is that you're probably going to end up solving a much different and larger problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like we thought the world needed a healthy chocolate milk.
Milk.
And like that, because that's what we wanted. But what we realized is that the world needed a better for you protein drink. And if we didn't dive into the healthy chocolate milk and we're just waiting, we're like, the market really there? Like it's chocolate milk, it's only this size, and like other industries are this size. We could have just spun our wheels for years. But until you're in the space and you start solving the smaller problem, that's when the larger problem kind of sheds light on itself. But in terms of your original question, marketing, I think the way that we think about it is three tiers, whether right or wrong, like this is just what makes sense to us and people we talk to. It's like three tiers of a marketing funnel. You got your brand awareness, you got what we call geo-targeted or retail-targeted, which would be middle, right? Like, so that's regional or specific retailers. And then you have like what we would call like within the four walls of the store, like in the actual store, or direct digital, things like Instacart and things like that. And so what we really try to focus on early on is top funnel, bottom funnel, right? Make people aware. And then when they're in the actual store, let's make sure we're in a cooler or near a checkout display, or we get more facings in the store. And that just statistically, that strategy worked for us, where we made people aware, we made them aware it was for them, like we're this better for you protein drink. And they go to the store, they see it, they pull it, they try it. And then at that point, it's up to the product to reel them back in for what's called repeat purchase, right? And once people start buying it, the best, you can obviously buy data to see repeat rates in stores, but the best determining factor of repeat rate is if your sales grow like month over month, year over year, because then people are coming back in for more, right? So that's high level how we think about marketing. And like Slate doesn't exist without digital marketing. That's where we built the brand.
I think that's the way everything's going these days.
Yeah.
And so along with your growth, you said your team is 60, I want to say?
Yeah, probably like 60 now. Yeah.
How do you feel? Because obviously in my mind, that's a smaller team. Yeah. Do you feel like, and you're talking about your mindset, it seems like you're very close. What is that, like building that team? Like, what does that look like? Obviously, as your years go on, you guys are expanding, more responsibility. What does the process for Slate look like to add people to this team and keep everything, all the wheels turning and angled exactly where you want them?
It's a good question. I think first and foremost, the way that we've built the culture here, and even early on, like Josh and I, we heard buzzword culture. It's me and him in my apartment in Brighton, Mass, right down the street from BC, is where we threw up a whiteboard and like started learning about business and things like culture and like, what does that really mean anything? But I think the culture that has organically been built here is no one's going to be looking over your shoulder. Right at Slate, like the work gets done or it doesn't. And if you don't want to work, like if you don't, you're not going to like everything you do, but if you don't want to show up to work every day, then it's probably not the right fit for you. Not good work. Yeah. Because it's just not the right fit for the company, right? There are tons of other jobs out there where you can show up and do your job and leave. But here it's because we're a startup, because we're attempting to grow so quickly, everyone is expected to go above and beyond in some capacity. Yeah. And obviously everyone has expectations, but every company is just built on ideas and opinions, right? It all started with an idea, then we had opinions on how to make it better, and more ideas and more opinions. And whether it's an opinion on the package design, whether it's an opinion on the strategy of where we should sell, or we have about 25 or 30 what we call area sales managers that are in the field that literally go store to store. They're absolute badasses, just grind all day.
Do they have a cool uniform?
They wear Slate attire.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, they're savages. Like they're animals. They do a great job, and every single person on the team is important. Like there's
Yeah.
no one on our team, whether it's the area sales manager team, any other department, that's not important to the business because
Hmm.
we just don't have time to hire people and just have them sit there and do one task a week.
For
So
sure.
I think that's what we look for is kind of like that grit, but
Yeah.
also people that can be a team player, right? We, again, don't have time or an office or resources to
Yeah.
deal with bickering and back and forth. It's people got to figure shit out.
Yeah. You're ready to work. You do your
Yeah.
work well, and everybody wins. I like
Yep.
that. They're a great
Yep.
mindset. It's how I'd build a team if I'm ever a GM or a head coach. That's how I'll be building my team.
Now you got
No. Actually, I'm thinking about my son is 2, but when he's old enough to start playing some Pop Warner, some Little League baseball, that's how we'll be picking the kids.
Okay.
Got to work. No bickering.
There you go. 6-year-olds just doing up downs. There
Exactly. Bring back the
Teach 'em young.
Oklahoma drill.
Yeah.
But I mean, you seem very focused. Like you said, you don't really have the time to be playing around things like that. What does your time management look like? For me, obviously, during the season, everything from my wake up pretty much until I go to bed is every hour, every half hours. I know exactly what I'm doing, what I'm eating. And then you get out of the season and you get all this free time. It's like, well, what do I do? That's where you see the guys are like either getting in trouble or just like you come back and you're all out of shape. And it's like, well, I don't know. I didn't have my routine. And for football, I guess realistically, at least from college, maybe high school to college on, or all sports really, you're on that schedule. This is what we do. We practice then. You should eat this. You have a nutritionist. And so you get that free time. There's not really an off season for you. You got to be locked in, dialed in at all times. So how do you stay focused? Do you have a morning ritual or something that you do to help you just kind of relax and put your best foot forward? Or is it wake up and start your day with a late coffee? What is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we're, again, I think the athletes, especially the NFL, but the athlete schedule is crazy, right? Like you guys are, again, different mindset, built different. I think in terms of how I operate personally is wake up, black coffee, get to work. Like I personally, this is kind of like, especially in the fitness industry, and I think the like entrepreneurship industry, a lot of people are like 5 a.m. guys and like have to morning meditate, whatever it is. And I respect, I appreciate that. Me, I'm like, I'm up, I'm working. It's just, that's just the way my brain works. Typically just like, let's hop in. Typically from Monday to Friday, I pretty much eat and drink the same thing at the same time every day. Like obviously if you have meetings and stuff after hours, what have you, but it just, again, that's just the way that it helps me focus on the business. And then I'm a night workout guy, 6 to 7:30 p.m.
I was about to say, I mean, I don't know. I got to get one of these Slate shirts. You're looking pretty yoked over there.
I mean, the legend ones really pulls out the shoulders. So, but I mean, I also drink a lot of this stuff, so it doesn't hurt. But yeah, I mean, I think if I'm getting a call at between 6 and 7:30 p.m. From Josh, he knows it's an emergency because that's the gym time. And then sometimes at night, a couple more emails, like no distractions. Try to get to bed early. But, I mean, I think again, when it's physical, like being an athlete, it's a little bit different where there's only so many hours you can put in because you actually need to rest.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're in business, I personally believe you can't burn out, right? You go in 7 days a week. I think that's probably too much. Like for like a solid 5 working 10 to 12 a day. And even that 10 to 12 hours isn't me like at my desk right here necessarily. But I think a lot of the things too that you realize early on about building a business or even just being an executive role at any business from what we've learned is you can't do the work and also think strategy at the same time. Like it's an obvious thing, but like if we're in a meeting, like discussing strategy or something important, we can't also be like auditing copy on emails, right? Or we can't also be like on a sales call. And so a lot of what I personally do in my like after hours time or free time where I'm working is just thinking strategy because you can't be thinking about the next game while you got the offense on the field, right? And right now, just the size of our business, we don't necessarily have a massive team. Like you said, 60 is kind of small. I think as we grow, we'll add more strategy people. But right now, the strategy and the execution are all done by the same people.
I like it. I like you. You're a no fluff kind of guy. I like that. You know exactly. Like I've known you for, I think we've been recording 25 minutes, and it's like I know this guy's just about business, like and locked in and dialed. And speaking of business, I know you started and co-founded. Were the owner of Repper. You're an advisor. You were an advisor at the campus agency advisory agency.
Yeah. Yeah, campus agency.
Those, like, how do you think taking that step and then going to Slate? What attributes, what things do you think you kind of picked up along the way, just on your project with Slate? Like, what did you have to learn about yourself? Obviously, this becoming what you're doing and focused on for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, you've learned about yourself and just kind of growing as an entrepreneur and growing in this space?
Definitely. I think in college, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so I was VP of a few organizations on campus. I just liked being a part of a team and building something, and then graduated and didn't really like, I was a real estate agent for 3 months in Boston, like slinging apartments, and I just wasn't for me. Yeah. And then I was trying to figure out what I would. Yeah. And I was just like, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so me and my older brother actually started a brand ambassador platform called Repper. It connected college students and brands, did it for about a year, learned a lot about startups, and then got to a certain age and realized that this wasn't going to be like our career path. Yeah. And that was definitely tough. It was like, shit, I just put a year and a half of my life in this thing. Like, it wasn't going to be this big thing that we thought it was going to be, but we ended up selling those assets to a campus agency. It wasn't like a pop bottles moment. It was like, all right, what are we going to do next moment? Yeah. And then that's when Slate organically just kind of became the next thing, because we were both looking for our next thing. And now my older brother also works with us.
Okay.
He helps run marketing and e-com. Yeah. He's basically like, he helps with everything, but technically he's director of marketing and e-com. And I think in that time, it was almost like our real world MBA. Learned so much about business, learned mostly what not to do. My business partner, Josh, also worked for a startup for a while in the early stages and learned a lot about startups and business. And without those experiences, there is no Slate. Like, without diving in and both of us more or less failing, not like miserably, not like millions of dollars in debt failing, like both of us basically like diving in, coming out neutral, and like gaining those life experiences, key, essential.
Hearing the word no a couple of times, dialing back in, working on yourself. I think your story is awesome. I think it's one of those things where people kind of, you see another protein drink or another this, but you don't really know what went into it or what the goal is. Oh, they have chocolate protein. I've seen chocolate protein before, but they don't know that what you're putting in, the ingredients, and kind of like the mindset about what you guys have and what you're trying to give the consumer. So, like, what do you think's the biggest misconception, I guess, of not just, we won't just say Slate, but just in general when it comes to high protein drinks and things like that? What do you think's the misconception that you're kind of like, no, like, that's not how it is? I
don't think I've ever gotten that question. I think that's a great question. I think there's a lot more data coming out that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, if you're looking to be fit, right? If you're looking to build muscle or maintain muscle or lose fat, can be beneficial. I think that this mindset that protein is just for bodybuilders or protein is just for post-workout, I don't think it's going to be here in 5 years. I think that a lot of people drink protein. Like, I drink a Slate 20 gram. I drink their classic chocolate after I work out for a little bit of protein, but more just like as a healthy indulgence. Yeah. Right. So I think that what you're going to see in the market, and you're already starting to see it and feel it, is what we call Gen Pop. Like, the general population is going to start drinking protein drinks, whether Slate or something else, right? They're just going to start
in general
enjoying it, because the FDA right now recommends 50 grams of protein. Like, if you actually look at a label and you look at the percentage, like a Slate 20 gram, whether it's a coffee or a shake, this is 40% of your daily value of protein for the day. 50 grams of protein in 2025, based on all the data that I've seen and a lot of our partners have seen, might not be quite enough. So, and I don't mean to call it the FDA. Obviously, they're well-funded, well-educated. I'm not trying to start beef here, but
no red flags.
I think, look, I think you're going to start seeing people, regardless of how often you exercise, if you exercise, attempting to consume significantly more than 50 grams of protein. And the most efficient way to get protein into your diet is through a drink or powder, because it's so much water, right? So this has 100 calories right here, and 80 of the calories are coming from protein itself. So if you're like, and that's what a lot of people don't know, is to get most protein bars, right? Most protein bars with 20 grams of protein will have 220 cal. We have 20 grams of protein with 100 cal. Efficient.
Mic drop. No, that's awesome. I didn't know that, honestly. And I drink protein shakes for the last 15 years. But yeah, that is, I'm honestly kind of like dumbfounded, because I didn't ever think about it like that. So I'm glad I asked the question. Do you have like what do you think's next for Slate? I know we're coming up on a half hour. I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, of course.
But what do you think is next for Slate? What do you think are your goals? I know you're always building. What would you like to see? I know you're obviously doing well and been very successful, but what do you think's next? What do you want to happen?
Yeah, so we're just launching our 42-gram shakes, which are just now hitting the shelves across the country.
Ultra protein.
So ultra protein, yeah. So you got 42 grams in there. We want to make sure that our existing partners that sell Slate are taking in the products that they think will be successful, and we're doing everything we can to support them. So I think obviously more distribution for a consumer-based company like Slate is obviously great, but we need to make sure that we are being good partners with the products we already have and the new products and supporting our existing partners. And so this year we have a lot more distribution coming with major grocery stores and mass stores. And so for us, it's doing everything we can to support those rollouts for the rest of this year. And I think as we continue to build our product portfolio and our brand, it's if people are seeking a high protein option and they have a better for you mindset, they're healthy minded, we want to make sure that we have an option for them. Yeah. And if our products aren't for them, we want to know why. And we want to try to continue to improve our brands and products to make sure that we fit that audience need, because we think that's still the gap in the market are those individuals that want to drink protein drinks, but for whatever reason right now, don't have one that's meant for them.
Can you make an espresso flavored Slate? I know you have the latte.
Yeah. So right now the mocha. Let's see if I have one on my desk. I don't have. No, we got the mocha. Well, you're talking about like espresso flavor.
Well, I'm just saying. Once again, you said in 5 years it won't be a thing where everybody's going to be consuming protein and shakes and things at all times. It's like you can make an espresso martini with protein.
So right now, I actually do that one right here. The mocha latte right here. This with some vodka and Kahlua or Bailey's. I'm not saying I've ever had it.
No, for sure. I'm just saying, like, this is for, you're saying those people who might not have the drink for them. The Slate mix well.
It does. It's look. You get a little Friday, Saturday workout in. You're planning on going out and having some food. A little Slate espresso martini. I highly recommend.
Okay. I will take you up on that. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Are they fantastic? I got two more, or one more, just random one. I was just thinking. I wrote it down when we were talking. I know you work with and are partnered with a bunch of people who love Slate from all different avenues, fitness, athletes. Has there been anybody, maybe just when you started out or even now, who just like randomly posted like Slate and you're just kind of like, what the, like, how'd they see it? Or something like that? Has there been somebody that stuck out to you?
That now happens, I would say, weekly, where I think earlier on, it was kind of the shock of, I didn't know this person drank protein drinks, right? Because it might be a little off brand. But now, I don't think we're ever surprised when we come across someone that drinks protein drinks, because now we just feel like culturally, a lot of people are now including it in their diet. I mean, one of the first ones was Dana White, and now he's involved in the brand and we're a sponsor of UFC.
Sick sponsorship, by the way.
Yeah, Dana's great. And I think it was the first time publicly was on the Pat McAfee show, like completely unsolicited, where he started drinking Slate. He lost 30 pounds, working with Gary Brecka, his guy. And that's when that was the first, like, damn, there's a lot of people are drinking this that we didn't realize. And that was probably 2022, I believe.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's awesome. That's one thing that, because I try to, especially like a smaller local brand or something, you have something that's great and you're like, I like this and I'm going to have this in my house all the time. Like, show them some love. So, I think that's great. And like I said, I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. And it's awesome just hearing your story and catching up for a little bit. And I think there'll be a lot more people for our listeners getting some Slate, trying it out, figuring out where they can get it in either Wisconsin or Philadelphia. Are you in Wisconsin and Philadelphia?
Yeah. We should be on our website, slatemilk.com. We have a store locator that's real time updated, but we're in all 50 states, even Alaska and Hawaii.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're nationwide.
It doesn't freeze.
It takes a lot for it to, like, I wouldn't put it in the freezer. Let's just put that. But it makes a great ice cream with a Ninja Creamy. So a lot of people are now using that as a base. Yeah.
At this point, you got the Swiss Army knife of protein drinks. It can do everything. That's fantastic, man. I'm excited to try, and I know a lot of people I've definitely enjoyed listening. So thank you so much. I appreciate you for hopping on.
Appreciate it, dude. Thank you.